Good morning, everyone. It's November 5th, 2025. We got a lot to go through. We're going to do this briefly today because I have a doctor's appointment. Been up since like 5:30. It's been a kind of a hectic morning, but we just had election night last night. We still have the government shutdown going down. We still have the SNAP crisis unfolding. So we got to unpack all this really quickly today. And yeah, let's kind of start and break this down. So we'll start with the race in New York City, the mayoral race. We know Zohran Mamdani won. He won by a pretty decent margin, considering that New York City is essentially, to an extent, divided. I think that the Republican candidate Curtis Lewa kind of threw a wrench into the election. That is what essentially hurt Cuomo. A lot of people that were moderates and even a lot of Republicans ended up voting for Cuomo. That they clearly saw him as the more winnable candidate. I guess you could put it that way. But essentially, Mamdani got enough support, won the election fair and square, and he is the next mayor of New York City. So while that Mamdani may have had, I would say, more support. You could definitely say during the primary, he still won the race regardless, and he is now the New York City's next mayor. That kind of brings an end to the era of Cuomo. He was previously the governor of New York City, New York State, and of course, Sliwa runs usually all the time, so at this point, we know that New York City is a Democrat stronghold, so it's very unlikely that a Republican candidate will win. Last time we had Giuliani, but things have changed since then, and of course, now present day New York City is becoming more progressive, more liberal, and it definitely reflects that with Mamdani's win. So. That's New York City. We also had two other victories in terms of Democrats winning, New Jersey and in Virginia. So in Jersey, we had Mikey Sherrill, and then we had in Virginia, we had Abigail Spanberger. So Virginia, which is, of course, formerly known as like a huge Republican stronghold, in recent times has become more and more Democrat, and it's now one of those states where you can say you're likely going to get a comfortable Democrat win, whether it's in a presidential election, a governor's election, whether it's in House seats, whether it is in Senate seats. So it's becoming more and more of a Democrat state, which is to some could be a shock considering that Virginia was kind of like the seat of the Confederacy during the Civil War, and has again always been kind of this Republican stronghold. So things are surely changing down in Virginia, and of course New Jersey. It's aside from I guess you could say Chris Christie, who was a Republican. New Jersey's always been a Democrat stronghold, so it really wasn't too much of a surprise there. But of course, Virginia is changing, and definitely gotta take note of that. Of course, then we have Proposition 50 in California, which was the congressional district redraw. That's very important. It's definitely a big win for the governor, Gavin Newsom, in California. And, of course, that could definitely set the stage for more Democrats in Congress. So that's another, last night was definitely a big win for Democrats across the country, whether it's moderate or left-leaning liberals, doesn't matter. They still all belong to the same party, and it definitely, I would say, to an extent, not entirely, because again, New York City and New Jersey were kind of expected, but it in a sense, kind of throws a wrench into the Trump administration's plans for the future. I mean, it's definitely showing more and more that people are kind of getting a little bit fed up now, even though it's only been less than a year with the Trump administration, second term. It's definitely showing the cracks are kind of starting to show. People are frustrated. The economy's not doing any better than it was under Biden, and many of the policies, including the immigration policies, are upsetting a lot of people. So, of course, the shutdown is definitely weighing on the administration. Though, I mean, I blame both parties for that. They could be compromising, but they refuse to. But again, this is really reflecting on the Trump administration. So let's talk about the shutdown. Longest shutdown in history now. And of course, where do we go from here? So, given that both sides are refusing to come to an agreement, we really don't know what exactly is going to happen. This could go on another week. It could go on another month. It could go on 2 more months. It could go on, again, into next year. It could go on for who knows how long. Because given that it is the longest shutdown now at this point, we're kind of in uncharted territory. So, we'll keep an eye on that, going into the future. Because again, I just wanted to make this kind of brief today and go over everything that happened last night. But again, just want to make it clear, longest shutdown in history, and we don't know where we're even going from here. So we'll definitely stay updated on that. And of course, SNAP, that Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. Trump now reiterated, after we got conflicting reports in the last few days that he possibly would be giving partial benefits, he's reiterated that there will be no benefits until the shutdown has resolved. He blames what he calls the radical left Democrats. Again, I blame both parties. They know that there's lives at stake. They know that there's Americans that are struggling. They're hungry. People are frustrated. Government employees aren't being paid. Both sides know this. Many of these congressmen and these senators, they're very wealthy individuals. This is not affecting them. And, essentially, you could say that they could all care less. That's my opinion. And I'm sure it's very factual as well. But I will leave it at my opinion. Don't want to upset anybody, of course. But that's not my intention. But as I was saying, it's going to continue. Unfortunately, a lot of Americans are struggling right now. Food banks are overwhelmed, and this isn't only going to exacerbate the problems. And again, if we go on another week, 2-3 weeks, it's going to get worse. In terms of people struggling to feed their families, people potentially stealing and looting. It's clear that both the administration and Congress do not care for the American people, which is very unfortunate. But, we have to do our best as people to work without them. Because essentially, even when they're in session and there is no shutdown, they're technically invisible. They're rarely ever doing their jobs, if even that. And, we're already kind of functioning as citizens without a government as it is. So, take all that into mind. Just wanted to, kind of brush through what happened last night and, some of the major results. Here, Connecticut, where I am, a lot of Democrat wins, but, at the municipal level. So, that's definitely something else that's taken into consideration, depending on, where each individual viewer is. I'm sure you probably had either, depending on whether or not you're a swing state, you're a Democrat state, Republican state, you probably had respective wins. But given here in Connecticut, we actually had a few Republicans that, longtime Republicans that ended up continuing to keep their municipal seats, whether that they were selectmen, the mayors. But we did have an actual surprising win in a neighboring town of Stratford, Connecticut, where the incumbent Republican, who had already been elected to 2 previous terms, was running for her third, actually was unseated by the Democrat by a margin of almost 10%. So it's a pretty big shocker there. So there was some pretty big Democrat wins at the local level as well. But, of course, just brushing through things today. And, as always, like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep on keeping track of everything here as things go on. Again, the SNAP crisis, government shutdown, these are 2 important events that will continue to develop over time and unfold, and they will only have more consequential effects on Americans. So we're going to keep on staying updated with this. And until next time, because I gotta go, I have a doctor's appointment, so I gotta make it quick today. But yeah, until next time, I hope all of y'all do well, stay safe, and take care of yourselves.